especially the IUIC logo, before I even woke up to the truth that of Revelation 1 and 4 and Deuteronomy 28. So when he says, wilt thou then that we go and gather them up here in 28, he says, but he says, nay, lest while you gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. So some of the work that they're doing deceitfully are waking up real brothers of the 12 tribes who are seeing their manipulations and are studying for themselves, who are actual leaders and not followers, who will say, okay, I'm not just going to follow a man because he's saying he just told me a truth that I never knew before, but I'm going to go and research these things myself, which is what I've done. So when he says he's allowed for them to do these things because they're actually speaking against their best interests for real. So I want to go here in Psalm 74, verse 1. It says, O God, why hast thou cast us off forever? Why did thine anger smoke against the sheep of thy pasture? Okay, when he says forever, that just means for a very long time. Unless you're from the tribe of Dan, then that could be deceptive. It could actually deceive them into believing that the Most High has cast us off forever, which isn't true. But that can be deceptive to those people who have been deceived and are under a strong delusion, as I've spoken of before. Here in verse number 2, it says, remember thy congregation, which thou hast purchased of old, the rod of thine inheritance, which thou hast redeemed, this Mount Zion, wherein thou hast dwelt. Lift up thy feet unto the perpetual desolations, even all that the enemy hath done wickedly in the sanctuary. Thine enemies roar in the midst of thy congregations. They set up their ensigns for signs. So that goes also their own ensigns they set up for signs. And thine enemies roar in the midst of thy congregations. That right there, that roar. Also, you could go back into the lion's whelp where the lions roar, and their enemies roaring, being the Dan tribe. They in the midst of the congregation, the same as the tares. They look exactly like us, but you can't tell the difference till it's time for it's time for the harvest. Here also in Psalm 62, I'll start in verse 1. It says, truly my soul waiteth upon the Most High, from him cometh my salvation. He only is my rock and my salvation. He is my defense. I shall not be greatly moved. How long will ye imagine mischief against a man? Ye shall be slain, all of you. As a bowing wall shall ye be, and as a tottering fence. They only consult to cast him down from his excellency. They delight in lies. They bless with their mouth, but they curse inwardly. Salah. So that right there is very deep right there. They bless with their mouth, but they curse inwardly. And they delight in lies. That's part of the congregation. That's what I'm speaking of, is those who are consulting. They only consult. That's consultation. That's teaching to cast him down from his excellency. That's the same Genesis 49:16, where it says, Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan shall be a serpent by the way, an adder in the path that biteth the horse heel, so that his rider shall fall backwards. They only consult to cast him down from his excellency. They delight in lies. They bless with their mouth, but they curse inwardly. So they're actually claiming to be blessing Israel and to be teaching truth to our people with their mouth, but inwardly they're cursing our people. They're definitely contrary to us. And I want to go into maybe just a little bit deeper, just slightly deeper, this word Barak, bless, or you hear people say Baruch you or Barakatah. This word bless goes pretty deep. It's part of what I said is part of that strong delusion that has deceived the Dan tribe. Because this word bless, Barak, also can mean curse and blaspheme. It's also been translated as curse and blaspheme. So it means bless, salute, curse, blaspheme, blessing. As part of that, the Hebrew language that in translation much has been lost. It's because of words certain like this. You couldn't understand that this word Barak also means curse. So when it says in verse 4, they only consult to cast him down from his excellency, they delight in lies, they bless with their mouth, but they curse inwardly. They might say Barak or Barakatah with their mouth, but on the inside they really mean curse, because this word bless goes very deep into meaning different things. It means more than just what appears in the English language to mean bless. So when these Hebrews are speaking their form of Hebrew, their dialect, but they say this Barak or Barakatah, Baruch, this thing has different meanings. That you have to watch that, because some of these brothers are really cursing inwardly while saying a word that means bless with their mouth, but curse inwardly. That I found was kind of deep, in the understanding that they only consult to cast him down from his excellency. Who would do that? Who would do that in these last days? Why would you do that if you was from the 12 tribes of Israel, speaking truthfully to your people about what's about to happen to us and what is required of us to make it through what is about to happen in the end of the world? It's not coming from us. It's only coming from some of us because we've been manipulated and deceived by the Dan tribe. But they only consult and cast him down from his excellency is definitely speaking about the adder in the path and the serpent by the way. Also, I wanted to note that there's some people claiming that the Dan tribe doesn't exist. That's that they're hiding something completely, because this here in verse number 1 says, "And Jacob called unto his sons and said, Gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days." So that's a precept you want to keep in the remembrance also when somebody tells you that the Dan tribe is done with. It says that which shall befall you in the last days. How would it be? That would make that not true, because if Dan was gone, it would certainly say he was gone. He doesn't even exist. But they're the ones teaching. Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. That alone right there should show some type of manipulation in the person that's teaching, or some kind of hiding of information. They're hiding stuff. And as I said before, it's impossible to understand even the parables that are meant for the children of the kingdom. If I can go that into that scripture here in the same Matthew 13, where it says, right here in verse number 9, says, "Who hath ears to hear, let him hear." And the disciples came and said unto him, "Why speakest thou unto them in parables?" So he's basically speaking to them in codes, and they're asking, why is he doing these things? Why would he speak to the people in parables and not just flat out tell them, speak plainly? And it says, "And the disciples came and said unto him, Why speakest thou unto them in parables?" Verse number 11. He answered and said unto them, Because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. For whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken away, even that he hath. Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they seeing see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah, which saith, By hearing ye shall hear, and shall not understand, and seeing ye shall see, and shall not perceive. For this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them. But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. So these parables definitely have meaning, and definitely are meant for understanding to the children of the kingdom. And that parable of the tares is definitely not understood if you do not know who the tribe of Dan is and that they're among us, or at least understand that the tribe of Dan is among us. Probably won't understand every single last tribe. There's many of these tribes. There are many. There's a multitude of people. There's also precepts that prove and say that there are many of them. And if you really want to go into the numbers of how many they are, they're definitely outnumber Judah here in America. They outnumber, because they was here at the time of the 10 tribes and never suffered Deuteronomy 28. So we took a large loss when dealing with Deuteronomy 28 and our falling away from 15 through 68. We took a large loss in those curses. And today still, the tribe of Judah and the southern kingdom have taken a large loss. But the Dan tribe, who is consented with the thief, is definitely not. So they definitely outnumber us. With that, brothers and sisters, I want to continue to say study to show ourselves approved, and continue to seek the truth, not just at the hand of any other man, not even at the hand of myself. You don't have videos are more of a guide. I just want to really guide people into the understanding that there's a manipulation in the real awakening, and that righteousness, the righteousness required for us to make it through the end of the world, is something on a higher level than what they're teaching today. So people want to would probably call you a super Hebrew because you claim that their righteousness is not righteous enough. But I'm gonna go into the scriptures here and show and prove that they have not gone into the gaps and really protected the people as they should be. Because if you're in iniquity, as the parable of the tares also says here in verse number where did it go? All that offend. Okay, here in the enemy that sowed them is the devil, the harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of the world. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all that offend, and them which do iniquity. So if these tares know that they're going to be burnt in the end, in the last days and in the end of the world, they're trying to get you, being the children of the kingdom, to do iniquity so that you go with them. That's exactly what they're trying to do, is give you a slack law, a slack righteousness, to take you right along with them. With that being said, brothers and sisters, I just want to say shalom and continue in the faith and continue in the understanding. All praise is due to the Most High.